I'm out here twerking for Trayvon with my Skittles and my watermelon Arizona. I'm standing my ground. Skittles, watermelon Arizona. Zimmerman, would you shoot this sweet ass? I'm standing my ground. These Skittles are so amazing. I'm standing my ground. I'm so thirsty. Oh, these Skittles, Trayvon Skittles.
Go back home to mommy. Go back home. Go back home to mommy. Go back home. That looks like he's 15 years old. What's going on here? What's going on? I take him back home to mom. She'll lock him in his bedroom. So folks, here's what happens. I will call up Karen, the president, because I have to do it myself. I know it's not.
Umbrella. She's up. Whole nother level of shit you can't even understand.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another episode of The Forecast. So out in Georgia, a young brother named Ricky Boyd was shot on his grandmother's porch in front of his grandmother and his brothers and sisters by Savannah police. Now let's go back and find out why this brother got shot in front of his grandmother and his brothers and sisters on his own grandmother's porch.
A 20-year-old Ricky Boyd was determined by police to be the result of a murder suspect shot by officers after he shot at them.
Yeah, hours later then it became the result of a murder suspect confronting police with what appeared to be a handgun. And finally it became the result of a murder suspect refusing to drop a BB gun after being ordered to do so. Which was it? Or was it any of those scenarios at all? Tonight I continue an investigation WTOC brought you exclusively last night. Boyd's family wants the truth but knows that to get there, the rest of you will have to see what they saw that morning by seeing video only police have. For 11 weeks now, Ricky Boyd's family has been saying the same thing about the morning that 20-year-old stepped out of his home and into a semicircle of U.S. Marshal Fugitive Task Force and Metro officers. Boyd's grandmother was the first ordered out of the house that morning and says she was positioned not 30 feet from the front door when Ricky exited the house.
And I see Ricky come out. And you could hear somebody say it to him. Like must be calling him or something, saying something, because you could see him where he turned around. You could see where he turned around this way, like a voice came from this way. Then a voice came from that way. Then I heard somebody say, he got a gun, and I say, don't shoot. He don't have no gun.
Yes.
What followed was chaos on Marion Circle. Family, friends, and neighbors screaming about what they claimed was an unjustified police shooting. Adding confusion to the events of that morning were the statements coming from law enforcement.
He initiated gunfire towards officers. The officers returned gunfire.
That was followed hours later with a statement omitting the claim Boyd ever fired at police.
They called out the suspect and he confronted them with a weapon.
That weapon was quickly identified as a BB gun, not a firearm. And despite witness claims, the GBI later said police gave Boyd verbal commands to drop the gun, but he raised it toward them anyway. And despite a Savannah police sergeant being hit by multiple bullets, not BBs, in the alleged exchange of gunfire, the Savannah police Twitter page still says Boyd initiated gunfire with officers. In an effort to calm the anger, members of the family say the GBI showed them at least one body camera view of what took place that morning. No questions, just a quick look and an escort out. You've seen this footage?
Yes.
Is it body camera footage?
Yes.
Does it hold up to what you're telling me here today?
Yes.
Now Wallace wants the rest of the world to see the same footage.
The reason I want the video to be seen, they will see that Ricky didn't have a gun. That's why it's important. They will see that my grandson got shot for nothing.
Based on what they saw, Savannah attorney Will Claiborne was hired to help tell the family's story and get answers.
People in the community need to know that Ricky Boyd did not have a gun on him when the police shot him.
This morning, his firm released its own video pointing out the inconsistencies he claims exist in the police version of what happened that morning. One of the items Claiborne points to is this never-before-seen photograph he says was taken by a neighbor moments after the shooting stopped. In it, you can see what appears to be a police officer behind a pine tree, but perhaps more important is what's laying on the ground just behind him. Is that the BB gun police claim Boyd refused to drop? It certainly matches the pine straw-covered location in this GBI-released forensic photograph. Now, Claiborne says, is the question of location.
Show me where that gun was found.
The gun was found 43 feet to my left, this direction
Take
here.
me there.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 15 full paces.
This is where the gun was.
Approximately here.
And that picture shows the gun.
Correct.
As well as an officer behind the tree.
The picture was taken from the front door area here of the house next door. And from that picture, we were able to place the gun approximately here. And again, we laid down measuring tape, and it took two 25-feet tape measures to get the distance.
Claiborne says Boyd would have to throw the gun into the neighbor's yard after being shot. So did he?
What's to say that Ricky just didn't throw that weapon?
The tape. The tape of the incident, the body cam footage, is what will show what happened. If they release that footage, then we'll see Ricky come out the door. And we'll see, is there a dramatic throwing gesture that he makes? To throw a BB gun 43 feet would require some actual effort.
Claiborne and Maddie Wallace say the tape will clear Ricky Boyd's name.
I always had faith in our system. But when it hit home, you see reality will wake you up.
Attorney Will Claiborne is hoping this short video will wake police up to the reality that proving their version of events or disproving Ricky Boyd's family will require the release of that body camera footage.
And just hours ago, the GBI, which was given complete control over the Ricky Boyd death investigation, turned its results over to the Chatham County District Attorney's Office for review. And then there's this. Alderman Tony Thomas posting Will Claiborne's video to his Alderman Facebook page, saying he does not have faith in Meg Heap's office to investigate this case. Bring in the feds, he adds. He also says something the Boyd family would likely agree with. If the Savannah police chief is telling the truth, then why not release the video? Once we get a chance to see that footage, so will you.
So, according to the police, the U.S. Marshals were there to arrest him because he had a warrant out for a murder for a crime he didn't even commit. This brother didn't even have a criminal record. So they pulled everybody out of the house one by one, his grandmother, his brothers, his sisters. And the police initially said when Ricky Boyd came out, he had a gun and he started shooting. And one of the cops, Sergeant Sean Wilson, got hit. And they tried to make it seem like this brother Ricky Boyd shot him when another cop shot him. Which brings up other questions like, why are you shooting your gun when it's another cop so close that he could get hit? And I'm pretty sure they have a policy about putting other cops in danger. But this brother didn't have a gun, so the police chief, Mark Revenew, had to change his story. It went from he came out shooting at the cops to he had a BB gun. So then they said he raised the gun in the air, so they had no other choice but to start shooting at him. Because I'm pretty sure the defense is going to be, I fear for my life. But the family who was standing right there watching had a different story. They said he came out showing his hands, he didn't have a gun, and they shot him. But then a neighbor whose car got shot up, which shows how many times the police shot at this young brother, came out to take pictures of what happened to his car and pictures of who did it. And the picture showed the gun 43 feet away from this brother Ricky Boyd in his neighbor's yard, which means this brother would have had to throw the gun while he was being shot or after he got shot. Now, there were 10 cops on the scene, but out of 10 cops, only one had body camera footage. And the police refused to release the body camera footage, but they showed this brother's mom one video, and she is demanding that they make the body camera footage public.
Federal prosecutors tonight are reviewing a request for an independent investigation into a deadly police shooting in Savannah, Georgia. 20-year-old Ricky Boyd was killed outside his house. The official explanation has changed several times. Here's Mark Strassman.
And then boom.
And boom. He's shot, he's fallen to the ground.
Jamila Smiley has seen the body camera video of police shooting her son, 20-year-old Ricky Boyd, right outside the family's front door back in January.
So horrible to have to watch my child get gunned down.
Police wanted to question Boyd about a recent homicide. Minutes later, he was dead. Interim Police Chief Mark Revenew the day of the shooting.
He initiated gunfire towards officers. The officers returned gunfire. We do have one of our sergeants that was shot several times.
Hours later, they said Boyd had a gun, but never mentioned he fired it. State investigators later said it was only a BB gun.
Did you ever see a gun that he held in that video?
No, sir.
Family lawyer William Claiborne says this photo shows a BB pistol lying in a neighbor's yard.
When I stepped out the house, I took a picture of the damages of my car. I zoomed in and I seen there was a gun over here.
The body is here, and how far is it from where the body is found to where the gun is found?
Approximately 43 feet.
And what explains that?
There's no explanation for that.
We went to Savannah police for answers to their shifting account. They declined to talk about any aspect of the case. Smiley demanded answers before Savannah City Council last week.
The city of Savannah took him away from me, from all of us. The police shot and killed Ricky right in front of his grandmother, right in front of his brothers and his sisters. I want an answer from each of you. Do you support releasing the body cam right now? I am prepared to stand here until I get an answer.
Ma'am, the city cannot release it. Is not going to release the video right now.
Is that a yes or no?
Ma'am, we won't be able to answer yes or no on that.
I am prepared to stand here until yes or no.
Well, nobody, we're not going to do that.
This hearing is completed now,
and
we will ask y'all to leave.
They didn't have to kill my son. They didn't have to kill him. I'm so sorry. They didn't have to kill him.
The local district attorney's office is still investigating the case. Jeff, they told us their final report and a decision whether to press charges should be finished by the end of next month.
So this police chief, Mark Revenew, who was already caping too soon, and then he got caught up in some lies, and they kept changing their side of the story even though they have video evidence that they refuse to release. So I don't know how the people who have the video change their story the most. Because when they do, that's the first thing you hear about. That's why they love to bring up your criminal past. But this young brother, Ricky Boyd, didn't have a criminal past for them to bring up. And not only have they not released the body camera footage, they have not released the names of the police officers. His mother says she still hasn't seen the autopsy. The White House was even asked about this case specifically, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders, referring to these police shootings, said these are local matters that should be handled by local officials, basically saying they should just investigate themselves. But the lawyers and the family are asking for outside investigators for this case.
Now, a fatal police shooting in Georgia leads to questions about how officers reacted, killing a man in his family's front yard. 20-year-old Ricky Boyd was shot outside his grandmother's home 3 months ago today. The Savannah police have said Boyd was a suspect in a murder and, along with U.S. Marshals, went to the house to arrest him. They initially said Boyd fired first and was killed. They later said he walked out with a firearm, which was eventually found to be a BB gun. The family deny that Boyd was involved with a murder and say he was unarmed. The BB gun, they said, was later found nearly 45 feet from the house. They're now asking the police department to release body cam video from the shooting. The police department, the state's attorney, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation all would not comment on a pending investigation.
We requested information about the January 21st homicide, and what we received back from the Savannah Police Department was a letter indicating that that was still an active and open investigation. We know and are confident that Ricky Boyd did not commit that murder, and the Savannah Police Department knows it. What they haven't done is told the citizens here in Savannah that that murderer is walking free. They haven't made an arrest in that case, and we have no real confidence in this point that they are taking productive steps to address that murder. That's another family that deserves justice.
Do you have any sense of timeline now? What will happen next in the investigation?
We've been given no real sense of a timeline here. No idea when we're going to get answers as to what happened to Ricky. And we're being forced to just simply wait, which can only be agonizing for Ricky's family. Now, I'd like to point out that there's information that's routinely released in officer-involved shootings that we've not received. We don't know who shot Ricky. We don't know if that individual is on administrative leave. We know nothing about their background. They're providing absolutely no information whatsoever.
Let me ask you about the body camera footage, though, because I understand that's central to some of the requests here. You'd like to see that released. What have they told you about when it will be released or if it will be released?
All they're saying is that this is an active investigation, and as part of the investigation file, they won't release it. But I'd like to point out that they did release photographs of this BB gun that they claim that Ricky had. They've released other matters from their investigative file, but they're choosing to selectively withhold this. What they need to do is just show that video and allow the public to see what actually occurred.
This case has certainly caught the rest of the country's attention, and even the White House has been asked about similar incidents with police-involved shootings. They've basically said that these are local matters to be handled by local authorities. What do you say to that?
Well, I guess the question is, how do you tell this family to trust local authorities and that this is a local matter when the very first thing that happened that morning was for the police chief to stand on the street corner and tell verifiable falsehoods about what occurred? To tell this family that this is a local matter and to trust local authorities to handle it when local authorities have been lying from the very first minute, it's just inhumane.
And I want to remind everybody, this is going to be a very long, thorough investigation.
We ask that people not speculate or make any unsubstantiated comments.
When this is all said and done, this will all be well documented.
So the DA, Meg Heap, who you can vote if you want her as your DA if you live in Chatham County in Georgia, is going to decide whether any of these cops should face charges or not. But you can already tell, even though she's still supposed to be investigating, that she has her cape on for the cops and what the results are most likely going to be. She's telling the lawyer that if they have any more evidence that she doesn't know about, he should turn it in. As if the evidence she doesn't know about isn't enough. They were there for a murder warrant for somebody who never committed murder, who never committed any crime. And they had no business there in the first place. The cops changed their story several times. At first they said he came out shooting, trying to make it seem like one of their cops got shot, but they actually shot themselves. So we know at least one of the cops put another cop's life in danger, and we know more than one cop broke policy. And this DA, Meg Heap, actually won awards for victimology. They gave her an award for her efforts to help crime victims and give them aid through policy and practice. And these are the good people we're depending on for justice. This brother was shot in front of his grandmother, in front of his brothers, in front of his sisters, and they couldn't do anything about it. We march for justice and we talk about it because we can't do anything about it. At some point, not only the survival of our children, and if we want our children to have the most opportunities to prosper, then we're going to have to put aside our tribalism and do something about it. At the end of the day, we all we got. If we don't do it, nobody else is.
Ms. Smiley, I'd like to start by asking you about a key piece of evidence that a lot of people are focused on right now. That is the body camera footage. You want to see that released. You have seen footage from one of the officers who was on scene that day. Can you take a moment and describe for me what you saw in that footage?
As I was looking at the film on the laptop, they let me look at this film on their laptop. And I noticed my son was coming out of the door. He was wiping his eye, and he walked out. He presented his arms out like he's surrendering, turned to his left, and he was immediately shot, falling forward to the ground.
Ms. Smiley, the Savannah police maintain that your son had a BB gun in his arms, that he confronted them with what they didn't know at the time was a BB gun. Do you have any reason to believe that he had one in his hands, or was there one in the house he had access to?
No, ma'am, he never had a gun in his hand at all.
Ms. Smiley, I understand the police chief came to your home and promised you and your family that there would be a fair and thorough investigation. Do you believe that that will happen?
No, ma'am. I'm 3 months into his killing and have yet to receive an autopsy. I have yet to receive any type of information concerning my son killing.
And it's also our understanding the police were there that day along with U.S. Marshals to serve a warrant to your son. They believe that he was involved in the murder of another young man a few days earlier. Do you or anyone in your family have any reason to believe that your son was involved in that murder?
Ma'am, the local detectives here also have been back to my home, and no, they have said that my son, they know my son have not committed this murder. So I don't know why they have not come forth and clear my son's name, but they know my son did not commit that murder.
You're saying law enforcement there have already confirmed to you that they know your son was not involved in that murder. That was the reason they came to the house in the first place that day.
One of the detectives that was on the case, she said it out her mouth that she knows my son did not commit this murder.
Ms. Smiley, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you, there's obviously been a lot of news, a lot of stories, a lot of reporting surrounding this one incident, this one day. What can you tell us about your son? What's not being said about him right now?
What's not being said that one, excuse me, was not being said that he was innocent, he was a good person, and that he did not commit any of those things that these officers are saying. He never shot at a cop. He never committed a murder. and my life son is taken.
Yeah, guys, now it may not be long before we have an answer as to whether police acted appropriately when they shot Ricky Boyd to death last January. The DA telling me today the case will go to a grand jury the week of May 21st. That also means, despite threats against her office, she will not be turning the Ricky Boyd shooting case over to federal prosecutors. Heap also had this to say about the demand Boyd family attorney Will Claiborne made that she hand the case over to the feds by 4 p.m. today.
I'm not responding to threats. I'm going to do my job.
It's clear the DA is not handing the case over.
We set a deadline because the time has well passed for there to be a full, fair, and impartial investigation in this case. We wanted this district attorney to make a decision whether she was going to do the right thing or not. That's not a threat. That is a request for a full, fair, and impartial investigation.
Heap says she is doing the right thing and what's required by a 2016 Georgia law dictating how officer-involved shooting cases are supposed to be handled by local prosecutors.
All the evidence should be presented before the grand jury or before a court where rules of evidence apply on any given case. We have done this in the past. I believe it's been fair for all individuals, and it also gives a level of transparency.
There has been a call by Boyd's family to release police body camera video to the public. This after the GBI showed a portion of it to his family weeks ago. I asked Heap about the allegations that she, along with the GBI, facilitated that meeting.
The GBI reached out to the family to meet. It was done at my office, but it was not with the blessing of my office.
I reached out to the GBI today for official statement after hearing that from the DA, asking if there was a coordinated effort to show the family police body cam video. At first, the GBI said yes, adding they did so to keep Boyd's family informed early on. After getting conflicting information, I reached back out to the DA's office and was told I should be getting a more corrected statement by the GBI shortly. I did get a different statement saying the DA, in fact, was not part of that effort. Now, once again, Meg Heap tells me she would have never shown that police body camera video to the family of Ricky Boyd. The GBI claiming at first it was Heap's office that helped coordinate the video showing, then saying it was their idea. The grand jury will see the evidence, including the now infamous police body cam video, the week of the 21st. We'll let you know as soon as their opinion is back to the district attorney's office.
Goes on file.
Hi, I'm Karen Turner. Hi, Ms. Nader. I'm a resident. There you go.
It's fine. I don't need that.
Okay, fine. I'm Karen Turner.
You're just here as the rider, right?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm here as a concerned citizen and friend of the mayor, and been in Tenafly for 20 years. I take full responsibility for them. And what is the reason they were pulled over?
The driver has all the information. He'll tell you.
No. I need to know.
No, you don't need to know.
That is my business card. I am the commissioner of the Port Authority, and I'm heading up over 4,000 police officers. Okay? So, if there's a problem, I think I have...
There's no problem.
Well, I think there is a problem.
It's an unregistered vehicle.
Okay. Let's hear, why were they pulled over, first of all?
Miss.
Now, don't call me Miss. I'm Commissioner. Thank you. This is impacting me because I got 4 people who are coming back to my house, including people who live in New Haven attending Yale Graduate School, a PhD student.
It's more of the way you just approached me and your demeanor.
You know what? Okay.
I'm being honest with you.
I want to know why.
I just don't appreciate your demeanor.
I don't
You're being
appreciate...
very demanding with me.
No, I'm
stating
asking
based
you.
off of your
asking
your
you.
position
I'm asking
in another
you.
agency,
I'm asking
whatever it
you.
may be. I mean, you have a business